Hello, everybody. Welcome to Mental Health Talk with me. I am coming live from outside. My son wanted to go to the park, so I wanted to try something. It is a little bit chilly, so I don't know how long I'm going to stay on. But welcome, welcome, welcome. I hope that your week was as great as it could be. If not, we can't worry about what happened yesterday or an hour ago. We only can focus on the now. What I'm starting to do is to be more intentional in the moment that I have, because we're only guaranteed a certain amount of time on this earth, so we need to start using it wisely, right? Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Become Your C, TikTok at Become Your C. I'm starting to upload more videos. Facebook BYC Become Your C, and my YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe to that. It's BYC Become Your C. I share all my podcasts on there. So if you're interested in anything, I probably talked about it. If not, I probably will talk about it. Just go and subscribe so you can stay up to date on everything. My website is currently down right now because I am working on transferring the websites. So it will be back up momentarily. I'm going to change a couple of different things. So what I wanted to talk about this week is, excuse me real quick, is mental health, the downside of struggling with mental health issues. So, of course, we have to get by each and every day, right? But it's a struggle sometimes. Some days we have great days and we're able to get through. We're able to relax. We're able to enjoy. But people don't see the downside to it. They see the smiling face. They see that we're doing a whole lot. We're thriving, right? Or what they think is thriving. But inside we are suffering. And no one sees that, because with mental illness, you can't see it. It's internal. And I think when people can't see it, they feel like it's not real. But it is real. 1 in 5 people suffer from mental illness every year. And so, what does the downside look like? It varies from person to person, and how they go about dealing with it varies from person to person. A lot of times we feel alone, right? You feel alone when you're struggling with mental health issues, because a lot of people don't understand what you're going through. A lot of people think that you're overreacting. A lot of people think that you're just doing it to get attention. I'm going to tell you from my own personal experience, we don't want to struggle like we do. Yes, there's things that we can do to alleviate the pain. There's rituals, or I'll say practices, like going to therapy, choosing to do church, taking medication. I'm doing a holistic approach like I do, but it's still a struggle. It doesn't cure anything. We live with this every day, and so we do tend to feel alone. We feel like no one understands us. They don't want to listen. A lot of times they think we just talking just to talk, but we're just trying to figure out a way to deal with it. And again, it varies from day to day. You feel isolated, so there is a stigma still amongst people that have mental health issues. We're labeled as crazy or weird or out there. We're labeled as there's something, we're sick. Yes, we have mental health issues, but we're still people just like everybody else. I don't know why it's such a stigma. I think people think they have it all together. No one, even if you don't struggle, has it all together. We all lack in something, right? And I think people need to understand that just because we have these illnesses doesn't mean that we lack in an area. Doesn't mean that we're not human. Doesn't mean that we don't deserve the greatest opportunities or affection or anything. We deserve just as much as anyone else, especially when we work hard. You feel like no one understands you, right? Like for me, struggling with it. Now, I've learned how to let people know what I'm going through, or if I'm having a panic or anxiety attack. But at the end of the day, you're left with your own thoughts and your own feelings by yourself. And you feel like there's no one to reach out to. So you struggle alone. And it's hard to struggle alone, or not knowing why the thoughts are in your head, not knowing why you feel the way that you do. Like, mental health illness is not just in your mind, it affects your body as well. Your body go through real feelings. Like for me, when I have panic and anxiety, my chest hurts, I get heart palpitations, my I get tension in my head, like I get migraines, my hands go numb, like, so it's a real illness. Sometimes you can get nauseous from having these illnesses. And depression, oh man, depression can cause sickness, because when you're depressed, it weakens your immune system. So this is real, right? It doesn't just affect us mentally, it affects us physically and emotionally as well. So we're just trying to get day by day so we can have some normalcy. You feel stressed out a lot, right? So dealing with mental health illness, you will feel stressed out a lot, because you're trying to solve the problem and you're doing everything that you can. You're eating right, you're doing your daily practices, you're taking medication. If you're on medication, you're going to therapy, you're doing everything you're supposed to, and you still have these thoughts and you still have these pains, and there is nothing that no one can do to take it away. And so you're constant worry. When you suffer, you're in constant worry. Like, you think about everything all the time. It's like a hamster on a wheel that doesn't stop. And it's hard. You get, like, the little thing could set you off, right? You get triggered a lot. And no one understands why. Maybe you snap out sometimes because you feel like you have the whole weight on your shoulder, and that's the only way to find relief. You're in a constant battle with yourself. So dealing with these issues, you're constantly fighting yourself every day internally, telling yourself you're okay, telling yourself you're going to make it, telling yourself it's not that bad, when all you want to do is to make the pain go away. On one of my other videos, I talked about how why people commit suicide is because of these struggles, right? These daily struggles. No, I don't want anyone to use that as a last resort, but it does happen because people get overwhelmed. They get overwhelmed with life. They get overwhelmed with stress, and people say, "Oh, well, that's life." It is life, but you're not in someone else's shoes, and you're not in their head. So you don't know what they're going through, so we can't judge them. And for me, I believe that we carry energy from people. We don't know what type of life that person had. And so their struggles is their struggles, and they're just trying to find relief from them. Symptoms vary from day to day, right? So just because I have a panic attack today doesn't necessarily mean that I'm gonna have heart palpitations today. I know, like, for me, I can recognize when it's happening, right? So I've had so many of them. I've been in the ER so much that I stopped going because I know when it's happening, right? But even though you know it's happening, even though you know what you're going through, you still get afraid, you get frightened, you still struggle. Like, even though I know, okay, this is a panic attack, I'm not dying, I'm not having a heart attack, I still struggle. I still go through them thoughts, like, am I going to die? Is this going to be it? Sometimes I cry, and I get angry, and I ask, why do I have to go through this? Like, what caused me to go through this? Yes, mental health illness is hereditary, genetics, environment plays a role, trauma, your chemical imbalances, a lot of things that contribute to mental health illness. But it's like you say, why me, right? Why me? Why do I have to go through this? Why can't I figure it out? There's so many things that we can do to try to alleviate it, but there's no cure for mental health illness. It's certain things that you can do to take away, but it's like you have to fight every day, and after a while you just get tired. That's why you see people that are depressed, they tend to stay in the bed a lot. In January, I went through a really bad depressive state because a lot of things happened all at once. And all I wanted to do was stay in the bed, but I can't because I have a child to take care of. So I think sometimes, like, even though we are dealing with it, we still have to fight through because we do have other obligations, and no one knows how heavy that is. Like, you can't even have a moment because you are obligated to other things. So all of that builds up, all that stress builds up. So if you know someone that is struggling, please reach out to them, right? maybe help them out a bit. Maybe take them out for a cup of coffee. Maybe have a phone conversation. Give them a hug. You never know what your voice can do to someone, or your presence can do to someone. Having mental health issues can affect other areas in your life as well. So when you're depressed and sad and anxious, some people have issues so bad that they can't go outside, right? They can't work because their issues are that severe. And so it doesn't just affect your body, it affects your livelihood. And people say it's not real. People say people making it up. Why would someone want to isolate themselves? Why would someone want to not be able to live and to thrive and choose to be sick? Because it is sick. It's an illness. It's a mental illness. No one chooses this life. Mental health illness can cost you, right? So if you're struggling a lot, these illnesses can lead to addictions, right? And sometimes addictions can cost money, like it can cost people, it can cost your living situation, it can cost you like your life. Addiction or mental health illness, if it gets so severe, it can cost you your life. So it's not something that's easy to live with. You may not have access to the help that you need. So a lot of times people say go get help, right? So we already know how the country is. Some people can't afford health insurance. People are trying, and I hate when people be like, well, you need to try harder. Some people are working 2 jobs and still can't afford to live day to day. So their mental issues have to be put on the back burner, and that is not fair. That's not fair. When they're trying, and people say try harder, and they try harder, and they still cannot afford the help that they need. So they suffer in silence. You can contemplate suicide, just like I said. So when the issues get so severe, you do think about suicide. You think about, well, what would happen if I wasn't here? Will life be better off if I wasn't here? Will people be better off if I wasn't here? You go through those thoughts. No, people don't act on it. Some people do, but those thoughts come to mind. You develop unhealthy habits to cope. You might overeat, you might overdrink, you might oversleep. You might be angry a lot. We're trying to find something that alleviates the pain or takes our mind off of what our body or the mind is going through, but it causes other issues as well. So at the end of the day, we just want to feel some type of normalcy, and whatever normal means. And normal is different for everyone. For me, enjoying a cup of coffee, and I exercise every day, right? I exercise because even when I'm stressed and I choose to exercise, it kind of gives me a spike of an enjoyment, right? Because when I'm working out, all I'm doing is focusing on what I can do, to improve my body. So that is my go-to. I started baking and cooking a lot because that takes my mind off of what I'm going through. Because if I'm focusing on baking and cooking, I'm trying to make sure this meal comes out great. So I'm not worrying about what's going on in my head at that moment. It's at the moments that we have to sit and think about what we're going through that is the worst for us. So I try to encourage people to do something, and it's not going to work all the time. Like I said, every day is not the same. Some days you're going to barely make it. You're going to do what you have to do, and then you're going to sit there for the rest of the day, and you're going to struggle in silence. You're going to cry. You're going to get angry. A lot of people do things to just keep themselves at a distance. You have to constantly be in dialogue with yourself. And when you see people talking to themselves, because I do this, right? Sometimes they're just trying to keep their head above water. They're trying to keep their self on top. Like, I do this to let myself know that everything is going to be okay. And sometimes I'm okay. Sometimes I'm not. But I keep talking to myself. So I try to get through the moments. And if this wasn't a good day, then if I wake up tomorrow can be a better day, right? We have to take each day as it comes, because every day is not going to be the same. We don't know. We can't predict what's going to happen. We don't know what our triggers are. Sometimes for me, triggers, I don't know what they are until I'm in a situation where I feel some type of way. And so just, you have to pay attention to yourself and know yourself. And if you have a moment where you don't feel like being around people, where you have to pull yourself out of the situation because your mental health issue needs to be addressed, then so be it. I think a lot of times we feel obligations and we feel like we have to put on a show for people. We feel like we have to become someone that we're not, just to put on a show for people. And some people struggle with that. I think that's why some people suffer, is because we're so busy worrying about how to make other people feel when we're suffering ourselves, when no one cares about how we feel. So I think sometimes we just need to do some self-care, right? Get back to ourselves, ask ourselves what we want and what we need, and then go towards that. The world taught us to people please, which, yeah, you want to make those around you happy, but at what cost? It takes away from your own happiness, right? Yes, you want to be kind and you want to be gentle with people. You want to make people happy, but is anyone trying to make you happy? Is anyone doing things to uplift you and please you? At the end of the day, we have ourselves to take care of. And if we're not being taken care of, if we suffer, then who's there to alleviate the pain? So we got to kind of start doing that for ourselves. You feel lonely most of the time. You do. You feel lonely. You feel like no one's out there. You feel by yourself. You feel like you're trying and no one understands you. And so you live by yourself. Even if you're around other people, you still feel lonely. It's that sense of void. And I think that's what the journey of life is all about, trying to fill that void. And some people never get to that point where they fill that void, so they turn to other things to try to fill that void. Like, let's say, for instance, you turn to alcohol to fill voids, right? It'll help somewhat, right? I used to drink a lot. It'll help. But when that alcohol wears off, the issues are still there. The problems are still there. They don't go away. The substance that you use to fill the void is only momentary. So we have to find a way to deal with it. Not that it's okay to have a drink. It's okay to do something to take a pain away. But when that substance become an addiction, then it's going to create more issues for yourself. Mental illness and addiction go hand in hand, because a lot of times people become addicted because they're trying to get away from the reality in their head, because it become overwhelming to the point where they lose sense of what's reality and what's not. And so they feel like this aid helps them to do that. So all in all, I say this to say, there is a downside to having mental health issues. We struggle every day to fight. We struggle to keep our head above water. We struggle to exist in this world that sometimes label us. We struggle to live in this world where people look down on us. People don't understand. People expect us, I think, to be strong, right? Like, I was taught that you have to just be strong. You can't cry. You just got to suck it up. Well, that gets tiring after a while. That gets hard. Sometimes it's okay not to be strong. Sometimes it's okay to just be in the moment. Sometimes it's okay to cry. I don't know who said that crying is a sign of weakness. For me, it's a sign of strength. It's a sign of release, right? And I think if we stop labeling people, if we stop telling people what is right for them, I think sometimes we're so quick to judge without understanding what someone is going through. And I'm learning this as well. It's like we expect people to understand us, but we don't want to understand people. And if you know someone that is suffering from mental health issues, the worst thing that you can do is to judge them or call them out of their name or compare. Like, I think a lot of times we suffer because we're constantly comparing ourselves to other people or saying that we should be the certain way. And we can't. We only can be who we are, right? God created us uniquely, individually, for a reason, for a purpose, right? We all have individual purposes, and we can't live our life in someone's shadow. And this is part of the reason why we struggle so much. I think we try to get people to like us, and so we do things to make them like us. When in reality, we were created imperfectly, perfectly by our Creator. And if we understand that, even though we're suffering, right, I had to start thinking of it like this. Yes, I suffer some days, right? Some days aren't that great, but I still fight through. I know that I was created this way for a reason, right? I suffer for a reason. And that is my whole life journey, is to find out that reason so that I can heal and become who I need to be in this world, who He created me to be, or she created me to be. And it might be hard to understand, like, why would God create me? Why would the universe create me to suffer? I think through suffering, we can find peace, and we find out who we are. It shows us how strong that we can be. So, if you're suffering from mental health issues, one, get the help that you need. Don't be afraid. If you cannot afford it, please search and search and search. They have programs. If you have to start it through groups, that's how I started, through Facebook groups. If you have Medicaid, you can find a lot of people. If you turn to the religion aspect, make sure you find whatever you choose to do, therapy, religion. Make sure you find people that are true, or not they're going to put their opinions on you. I had a good therapist that I went to, and she didn't tell me what she wanted me to do. She allowed me to think for myself and think through and find things that worked for me. So that's what you need to do each and every day, even while you're struggling. And don't beat yourself up if you fall down. I want you here as long as possible, because you have purpose to be here. You're supposed to be here for a reason. You have to find your destiny. You have to find your purpose. You got to find a reason for living. And even if you got to push, like, some days you're going to have to push yourself a little harder. And this is why I urge people to plan right. Like, I don't know how my days is going to go from day to day. So I plan accordingly, right? I write a list of what I'm going to do in each day. And if I can get more done that day, I do, because I don't know what the next day is going to look like. Don't beat yourself up for having a bad day. If you have to crawl, crawl. But do not give up on yourself. You have a right to exist in this world with your mental health illness. You have a right to feel the way that you do. You have a right to not want to be happy all the time. I mean, I'm not saying that happiness is not a good thing, but happiness is an emotion that changes. An emotion that changes. And so, when we're struggling, it's okay to struggle. Just don't stay there too long. I don't want us to stay there too long, to the point where we lose who we are. Don't allow the world to take you from who you are, and don't allow those thoughts in your heads to control you. We have to learn how to control those thoughts in our heads, even if they're talking to us, right, negatively. We gotta fight back, right? We have to fight back. And this is hard, and I know, every day, because you get tired of fighting, right? Every day when you wake up and then you go into bed, you're just fighting those thoughts in your head. And you feel exhausted. Your body feels exhausted. Mentally, you feel drained. But I'm telling you, when you start to unravel who you are and slowly let those misconceptions, slowly let those judgments go, you'll be able to live in this world and exist how you are, and not worry about what everyone else say or has to say about who you are. And all those things that they say won't matter no more. We have to learn how to fall in love with ourselves, and that's hard, because some of us weren't taught how to love ourselves. We were taught to please other people. And I think even while we're struggling, we can learn to accept who we are. When you accept who you are with your mental health status and with who you are, you can live in the world better, because then you know who you truly are, and you don't have nothing to prove to anyone. Oh my gosh. So that's all I have for today. I am getting really cold out here. So what I want y'all to focus on this week and today always meditate, right? I encourage meditation. The meditation allow you to listen to your inner voice and dig deep, right? Find music, binaural beats, and type in whatever. Binaural beats for healing, binaural beats for anxiety. Really good. Get in tune with yourself. Start to get to know yourself. Know your place in the world, because you belong here. You need to be here because the world needs you. It's only one of you. And so it's important that you realize what your potential is and what your gifts are so that you can share it with the world. Also, take each day as it comes. Get up every day and say, hey, this is what this day is going to be. And then go through it, right? And if you get some curveballs, learn how to go with them curves. Every day might not be the same, but you belong in every day. You have to live in every day. Take it step by step. Do something every day that is new, that is going to help you become who you need to be for yourself and help you to thrive and live in this world. Okay, it's cold, everybody. So, till next time, fall in love with yourself so the world can fall in love with you. Thank you, everybody.